Hello friends, we're here today in 1 Peter chapter 4. So how it starts is it says, so in the same way that Jesus suffered in the flesh, we should also suffer in the flesh. It says we should have the same mindset. You know, we should look at Jesus and be like, hey, he suffered in the flesh. Maybe we should suffer in the flesh. I think this is I guess I think it's funny, but there's really nothing funny about it. What's interesting to me about it is that the word suffering, it really means like to wait, to be patient, to endure. And so I don't necessarily think that what this passage is talking about is exclusively his crucifixion. I think it's talking about the fact that Jesus, even though he was God, lived as a man, you know, for 33 years. For 33 years, he could have been in heaven the entire time, and yet he suffered with us. He lived with us. He lived a perfect life in this world. And in the same way that Jesus did that, we should suffer in this life, not as people who live for this life, but for people that live for the spiritual life. You know, that people that, we shouldn't be people that are trying to just suck all the fun out of this life, but we should be people that really are looking to God, the Creator, and why he put us here. So he's saying, when you go throughout this life, don't live like the Gentiles do. Don't live like the sinners do. And he lists a bunch of sins, you know, a bunch of things that other people live for. They're not necessarily sin. And it mentions things like drunkenness. You know, it doesn't say drinking, but it does mention drunkenness, and it also mentions drinking parties. It also mentions orgies, which it always makes me uncomfortable when the Bible talks about orgies. But I had to look it up last time, and an orgy was really not what you might think it is. It was kind of like a ritual, kind of like a party where there was music, and there was, you know, usually dancing, and, you know, there might have been some weird satanic like rituals going on, but it wasn't what you might think it was. Honestly, when I was reading up on it, it sounded to me like a rave, you know, like a party with lots of drugs and lots of dancing and loud music. That's what the Bible means when it mentions the word orgies. So it's saying, don't live for these things. You know, you should be a person who lives for the Spirit. And at the end of this section, it says you should do this for your prayers. At the end of James, it said, you know, the prayers of a righteous man availeth much. And here, Peter is saying essentially the same thing. He's saying, so that God will be close to you, you know, so that you can experience God, you should live a righteous life so that your communication with God will be richer. So it talks about how when we go through this life and we don't do these things, when you don't drink lots of alcohol, you don't go to the drinking party or the orgy, it's saying, you know, people will wonder why you don't do this, and they'll start essentially, they'll get mad at you for not enjoying life in the same way that they do. And I don't know about you, but this is something I've experienced many times. You know, because of my beliefs, and I don't want to go to the party, or I don't want to, you know, drink all night. You know, people are like, you are so lame to be around. But it says that those people are going to be judged. You know, these are the end days. You know, it's funny, that was 2,000 years ago, but we're still in the end days. You know, the judgment can come at any moment. But on the other side, he says, what should we be focused on? You know, I think it's nice that the Bible just doesn't tell us, just don't do these things. But it does give us things that we should do. It says, focus on the gifts that God has given you. If God has given you the ability to speak, then speak. If God has given you the ability to encourage people, then encourage people. If you are a Christian, apart from your natural abilities, God has given you spiritual gifts. He has given you abilities that you would not be able to do outside of God's Holy Spirit living in you. And I think this is such a wonderful part of the Christian life that I don't think enough people think about and care about. But you've been given a gift. God has given you the ability and the want to do something in this world for Him. And when you do these things, it is the most glorious feeling in the whole world. You're thinking, this is what I was made to do. This is why God put me on this earth, so that I can do this thing. So he's saying, focus on that. And then toward the end of this chapter, he says, and don't be surprised when people start treating you bad because of your relationship with God. Don't be surprised, because what's happening is normal. You should more be surprised when people don't come down on you because of your relationship with God. That's more surprising. And he's saying, when you are in prison for doing something wrong, that is a shameful thing. But if you get put in prison for following God, that is a glorious thing. That is something that God honors and that you should wear as a badge of honor. And people may see this suffering that you're going through and think, how do they have this endurance? What do they have that I don't have, that they can endure this suffering in ways that I know that I couldn't? So anyways, that is 1 Peter chapter 4. Have a great day. Bye.